Fourth Earl of Dunmore, Lord Dunmore, in the home of his family. This, of course, is not the governor's house. His home is that large brick building just outside the window we're going to be going into in a few minutes. This building here, of course, is the servants' hall. This is going to be where some of the paid staff who work for Lord Dunmore are actually going to reside. This is going to be the social area, maybe the dining hall of that particular house. Upstairs, of course, going to be the sleeping spaces. And looking about the room here, I don't believe I recognize anyone, but based on the clothes you're wearing, the garb you have on, as it were, I would expect that perhaps some of you may very well may already be familiar with the servants' hall. Those of you do seem to have the bearing, the presence, as it were, of some of the better sorts of the gentry. But again, perhaps you've been on a long journey, you've come from the frontier, and have just recently arrived in the capital city, still in your travel garb, as it were. For those of you who have the better sorts, I do apologize that I don't recognize you. Now, I expect all of you, or if not most of you, are here for the evening festivities. Yes?
Yes.
Well, good. Well, as some of you may not be aware, the governor is going to be hosting a ball this evening here at the palace. It's sort of a special event because balls are only held a couple of times a year. The last ball was held last May to celebrate the arrival of Lady Charlotte and Lord Dunmore's family. Of course, those of you that are invited to the ball are expected to have a very enjoyable time. Only the most important people are going to be expected to be invited to that party. But of course, many of the citizens of Williamsburg will take part, if you will, in that celebration. Many of the citizens will gather out in the palace green, will come up to the front gate, some of the staff, perhaps some of you, perhaps, might be even offering some of those citizens a glass of rumbo, which is a rum punch, to toast to the good health of the Queen, Queen Charlotte. And of course, the ball will begin at about 6 o'clock, but I expect again many of you will be invited, at least I hope some of you will be invited. Now, we are celebrating three very important and noteworthy events. Again, we're going to be celebrating the birth night of Queen Charlotte, the wife of King George III, your world monarch. Her birthday is actually in May, but she likes to celebrate and decided the celebration will be in January 18th. They celebrate that in England. Here in Virginia, we're going to do the same thing. It's going to be a very special event. And of course, only the most important people be invited. Now, the other thing we're going to be celebrating, of course, will be the birth of Lord Wayne Dunmore's latest child. Lady Charlotte, as you may have heard, gave birth to a little girl in December 3rd of 1774, just a little over a month ago. So we're going to be celebrating the birth and baptism of Lady Virginia. Maybe you plan on attending the baptism this afternoon down at the Green Parish Church. See if you have not. Well, that's good. I'm sure the governor will very much appreciate you joining at that baptism. And the other thing we're going to be celebrating, of course, is Lord Dunmore's victory over the Shawnee Indians last fall out in the Ohio frontier. Are any of you from Ohio? Oh, well, good. Did you happen to see Lord Dunmore was on your territory?
I did.
Well, good. For those of you that aren't aware of it, he led an army out there. Took some regulars with him, the 1st Virginia Regiment, and several local militias. I expect perhaps his children marched with his local militia to battle the Shawnee Indians. Last fall, he defeated Chief Cornstalk at the Battle of Point Pleasant and negotiated a treaty with those Indians, securing our borders, securing the safety of the citizens out there, and to guarantee that treaty, he returned with 4 Shawnee Indians as hostages. Now, not to confuse that with prisoners, these hostages are not prisoners. They're essentially going to be invited guests to the capital city. They're going to have, in a sense, the freedom of the town. They're going to be honored guests. So if you do happen to see any of those Shawnee Indians, extend them the proper courtesies. And they're going to be here until Lord Dunmore feels the guarantees of the treaty have been honored and that things are moving along quite smoothly. Then he'll release them and send them on back to the Ohio frontier. But hopefully this ball will be a little bit more pleasant, a little bit less stressful than the last ball was held here. Last May when we had our ball, of course, was to celebrate the arrival of Queen Lady Charlotte. But again, it was the day after Lord Dunmore dissolved the assembly. Basically told the burgesses to go on home and he was going to call for new elections. He dissolved the assembly, of course, because they called for a day of fasting, humiliation, and prayer to show support for the city of Boston and the colony of Massachusetts. Their harbor was to be closed on June 1st because of that Boston Tea Party they had the previous December when they threw all that tea in the harbor. Here in Virginia, a lot of burgesses felt that what happened in Massachusetts could very well happen here. So to show support for Massachusetts and Boston, they decided to call for a day of fasting, humiliation, and prayer for June 1st. We're going to be stepping on over to the governor's house in just a moment or two. If you do step outside, do be careful going out. There are 3 steps going down as we exit the building. So let's step on over to the governor's house.